All right, part 4 of my Godel time loops, matter, antimatter, that whole series. I did them back in 2011. I'm resurrecting them now in light of the recent news story that matter and antimatter might gravitationally repel. Parts 1 and 2 were not very good. However, in part 1 I speculated that a Godel time loop of something spinning at relativistic speed would also have an anti-gravity potential, that the arrow of gravity would reverse as the arrow of time reversed. Then in part 3, and part 2 was terrible, don't watch it, but then in part 3, I also speculated that based on Feynman's belief that antimatter is matter in a reverse time direction, I also speculated, possibly, that, in other words, he believed that a positron might be an electron in a backwards in time arrow. I then speculate that in a very fast spinning black hole, that matter might actually be converted to antimatter based on a Godel time loop, and that the matter and antimatter collided with the normal matter, and voila, you have the energy that converts to relativistic jets. Now, what I didn't say, because I held back on saying, I should have said, is that I think that might actually be occurring inside of the event horizon of a black hole. And obviously you say, well, CHistrue, you've gone brain poopy on us lately. How is it that a matter inside of a black hole would go outside of the black hole? Well, or let's say the matter inside of the black hole is converted to antimatter, how would it go outside of the black hole? Well, Exhibit A, this recent news story that possibly, right down there, I could stick my head through the computer and show you, but it's linked below. You can see it, I can't. This latest CNN news story and in other mainstream outlets that, in fact, scientists are speculating that maybe matter and antimatter are gravitationally repulsive. Which is interesting because if you link the ideas of part 1 of this video, that a Godel time loop might be gravitationally repulsive, to part 3, the idea that matter and the idea that matter and antimatter, the idea that matter could be converted to antimatter, then you have the possibility that could be occurring even inside of the event horizon of the black hole, and yet the arrow of time would be reversed. And that a reversed arrow of time would also imply anti-gravity. If I have a piece of matter that is then reversed, if I have a piece of matter and the gravitational potential energy due to gravity with this piece of matter here would be negative, okay, bonk, it'd be attractive. If I took this piece of matter and reversed its time arrow, it seems to stand to reason. Again, this is conjecture. But it would seem to stand to reason that it would be repulsive. That my potential energy would now, the sign of my potential energy would reverse. Well, I'd have to think about that. But at the very least, the arrow of gravity would reverse. Okay, so that as t would reverse, the arrow of gravity would reverse. So linking the ideas of part 1 and part 3, I'm now not going to hold back anymore in light of this recent news story, and I shouldn't have held back then. But I'm not going to hold back anymore. I'm going to suggest that maybe the matter is being converted to antimatter inside of the event horizon of a black hole. It's then, instead of being attracted to the singularity at the center of the black hole, because remember, the arrow of time is the directional arrow towards the singularity inside of a black hole. That is the arrow of time under general relativity. So if the arrow of time reverses, then the antimatter is going to go outside of the black hole. Yes, it leaves the event horizon of a black hole, according to this speculation, if indeed this speculation is correct. And as it then collides with normal matter, kabloom, you get a whole lot of energy being released. Now, a possible sticky wicket in this could be if matter and antimatter gravitationally repel, would they actually collide? I mean, it's speculation. But I figured, I'm not going to hold back. Some aspects of part 1 and part 3 were predictive of this latest news story. And if it turns out that matter and antimatter gravitationally repel, then at least that thinking parallels some of the thinking done in parts 1 and part 3. But even if it's wrong, still, I'm not going to hold back. Because that's what we do here on this channel. I don't do science, and I don't claim to do science. I don't show equations. I don't show experimental results. It's speculation. But I think that what I do here on this channel is the cutting edge of appreciating the mystery of existence. That is what we do on this channel, and that has been a beautiful experience these past few years. And as I move to the end of an era here, I want to thank those of you, and we turn to math because we're going back to math now. I want to thank those of you who've been subscribers, those of you who are subscribers, and those of you who continue to be subscribers. And for those of you who've objected to videos I've made, I thank you also, because you too have been part of the process of learning. Those of you who've disagreed have also been part of the process of learning, and I thank you. This is CHistrue, cosmically signing off.